Week number 4 of the 2025 SEC football season is officially upon us, and we are here previewing, breaking down, talking everything you need to know in week 4 of the SEC slate. Also, we're locking in some best bets, of course, talking other news and notes. You know what day it is. It's Monday here on the Overtime Drive, September the 15th, 2025. Guys, appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. As always, I'm Chris Phillips. He's Coral Bear Thompson. We got a great show for you tonight. Guys, as always, before we get going, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast or get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. And as always, we are powered by our friends over at FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/SECU to join today and get started with $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FanDuel.com/SECU to get $250 in bonus bets today. Another electric college football slate is officially upon us, specifically in the SEC. Week number 4 is here, and we are here on the Overtime Drive, previewing, breaking down, talking everything you need to know, getting you geared up for another big-time slate in the SEC. Also, guys, of course, we're making you some money, locking in some best bets here on this Monday night, talking some other news and notes, everything in between. And again, we appreciate you all being a part of it. Once again, this is the Overtime Drive, SEC Unfiltered, SEC football show, and the best SEC football show on the internet. I am Chris Phillips, pleased to be joined by the best co-host in the land. He is the one, the only, Cole, the Bear, Thompson. Bear, what's going on, my friend? Appreciate you taking the time. And listen, some may debate if you're the best or not, but one thing that can't be debated is this. You are a man of your word, because we're still getting comments rolling in about you eating 3 peppers live on air, dipping them in hot sauce last night. I commend you for that, my friend, and I'm just glad you're here in one piece to still tell the tale and still talk some ball with me.
People are making fun of me because of the way my face looked. Guys, my stomach still has yet to pass it. So you know what? I'm surviving while dealing with the cramps, the pains, the fieriness. Everything that feels like a ball of hot lead is still just kind of sticking down there. But you know what? We power through. And here's something I will tell you. Week 2 was a sleepy Saturday. I told you, there's no such thing as a bad weekend in college football. It was a scary Saturday. Upsets galore. Matchups that became must-see moments. Week 3 was like a 10-course meal. You were well-fed. You were greatly deserved. You got to sit back and feast on your on highlight moments. Texas A&M, Notre Dame, Tennessee, Georgia. Alabama looked like it was back in the saddle. We got a great matchup down in Oxford, Mississippi. I ain't got to say on this game because you want to know what? This is a storyline Saturday. So we went from having a scary Saturday to a spectacular Saturday to a storyline Saturday. Arkansas. How do you respond after a close call against Ole Miss? By going on the road to face off in the Liberty Bowl against an undefeated Memphis squad that's trying to put itself in the primetime light as an AAC representative. Ole Miss, Duke just lost to Tulane. You going to show up on Saturday in your own backyard with Trinidad Shameless, who may or may not end up being QB1 for the rest of the year? Jackson Arnold, welcome back to Norman. How are you going to respond against your former defensive coordinator? And how is John Mateer going to respond facing off against a team that he wants to prove he's supposed to be here? And they made the right call. Columbia, who gets to have bragging rights? Columbia, Missouri, or Columbia, South Carolina? Because guess what? This is a game of all games. Sam Houston State, hey, nobody's been able to do it yet. Could you be the one to take down Texas? And then let's not forget about the bitter rivalry, the matchup of all matchups. Baba Yaga wants more vengeance on his plate against Georgia State. We got another one of those games. It's in Nashville this year. Lot 2 is going to be rocking. So I'll tell you what, storyline Saturday, all aboard, coming into week 4 of college football.
How dare I leave Nashville and Lot 2 behind? But we're excited to do so. Como is awaiting us. The SEC Unfiltered Tour obviously going to be at Faurot Field. We'll be doing Vandy later this season. I'll just go ahead and spoil that for you. But the boys in Lot 2, certainly just down the street from yours truly, we rocking. By the way, the other game Barry didn't even mention, we'll get into in a second. How about down in Coral Gables? Miami and Florida as the Gators. You talk about looking for a bounce back, looking for redemption. Can they slow down Carson Beck and company? And God forbid, can DJ Lagway bounce back from a 5-interception game? Big question. I do want to say this, Barry, before we get rolling to everyone. Listen, at times, we tell you guys to like, subscribe, do all the things, follow along. But I want to make sure you guys know this clear path that we are on the path, and I feel like we're making good headway, but to be the very best, right? I believe in speaking things into existence, manifesting them. So again, I want to make you guys well aware of our goals here. We're about to hit 25,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're very, very, very close. Help us get to that mark. Then the next benchmark will be 50,000. Then it's 100,000. Then it's 250, 500, a million, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's no ceiling on this thing, but we can't do it without you. So again, make sure if you like the content, takes 2 seconds, like, subscribe. There's like 90% of you that watch that don't subscribe. You want to make sure you're following along. All the previews, all the predictions, the overtime drive, college basketball starting soon. College baseball will be here before you know it. Everything you need. Make sure you're in on the loop. You do not want to miss out because, again, it's content bleeding out of the eyeballs every single day. So, again, I just wanted to make that clear because, listen, this ain't a hobby. We're trying to accomplish some real big-time stuff over here. We've already done so, thanks to y'all, but let's keep it rolling. SEC Unfiltered to the freaking moon. We can't say thank you all enough. A lot of exciting stuff happening for us, but I want to make sure I emphasize that. You guys are helping us accomplish our dreams, hit our goals.
Just
keep it rolling.
Just get us to 25,000 by this week. I ate peppers for you dipped in hot sauce. Like you want
that alone. I mean, that alone.
That content, guys. Get us 25,000 by Friday night.
That's
all we're asking for.
I realize we always ask for you guys' support, but we don't really speak out into existence where it is we're trying to go or what it is we're trying to accomplish. And I say we, because it's all of us. This is not a speak to the audience show. This is a speak with the audience show. And I will always pride myself on that. All right, Bear, let's get into this week 4 slate. Jam-packed yet again. Going to be a ton of fun. Let's start with the game that I think is the game of the weekend. There's a few that I think you can nominate for this title, and make sure you go check out this preview prediction that already dropped early on Monday. Bear, it's Oklahoma and it's Auburn. Really exciting game. Again, just like all the others, if you want the full preview prediction, breakdown, etc., I highly encourage you go check it out. Bear and myself did a great job on that. But really exciting matchup, Bear. I'm really glad the way the schedule staggers out. I'll be able to watch this one at the tailgate. Obviously, I feel safe to say I think this will be a game we react to live. We'll break this down. Storylines are abundant, Bear, but this one, bottom line, is a huge game for both sides. Both have college football playoff aspirations. I think both, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, I think both are still kind of looking at their head coaches like, good job to this point. Now let's see what you're about. Like this, it's still like no pressure is evaded. No pressure is gone. It's still high intensity, high level amounts of pressure. The loser's going to be feeling some type of way in this game. Listen, you're not out. You're not out, but you might be down for at least the next week or so. Either way, Jackson Arnold is homecoming. You mentioned it, Bear. Brent Venables gets to go up against him. John Mateer, welcome to center stage yet again. The lights are on. This one's going to be a lot of fun. Cannot wait to watch this one play out. Memorial Stadium going to be rocking once again.
Again, this is another moment for both of these programs who have already shown you that they can win, and they can win in games that have a little bit more, I would say, impact on what is going to be the college football playoff standings. But naturally, this is one to where you get to take reins of the SEC. It's both of your first matchup in conference play. It's both of your first times to be able to truly show what you've learned from those first 3 weeks into a matchup against a team that also is looking to prove that they have made the right adjustments in the offseason. We all focus in on Jackson Arnold's return, and well, we should. He's looked good in this new offense underneath Hugh Freeze. He's made a lot of strides when it comes to the mobility aspect of things. We haven't seen him truly embrace himself as a passer, but he hasn't had to yet. But you flip the script. For all the pressure that's on Jackson Arnold looking to prove to Oklahoma, you gave up on me too soon. There's also a lot of pressure on John Mateer to prove that you were right to believe in me to begin with. So it's a yin and yang conversation of one quarterback wants to enter the place where he departed and thinks he went so south that people questioned if he was ever going to play quarterback at a high-end level again. But on the opposing side, you got a quarterback that was doubted as a G5 player. So many people said, I'll believe in John Mateer when I see him face off against a quality opponent. Michigan was a quality opponent. He had 3 touchdowns. He was a majority of the offense that Saturday. Can he do it against a DJ Durkin defense that has shown its strengths against mobile quarterbacks? Can we see the adjustments defensively from DJ Durkin and from Brent Venables to make sure that you keep everything in front of you, that you don't have critical mistakes? Can we see the rushing attack step on forward for Oklahoma? Can we see the passing attack, the deep shots down the field step up for Auburn? And ultimately, what is it going to take for one of these programs to put their foot on the gas and give us a drive to remember? Because ultimately, it may come down to one drive deciding who ends up coming out on top. And a lot of this is going to be storyline driven, but it also may just be player driven. Who ends up having a better team? Who ends up making the fewer mistakes? Who ends up delivering when the lights are at the brightest?
And you and I both, obviously, again, guys, go check out the full preview prediction. We're both going with the home team, Oklahoma, to win this football game. But again, I am fascinated. We'll lock in, by the way, do our full pick'em show on Thursday. So, hey, I played spoiler, but it's already out there. Either way, though, the battle of the minds in this one is something I'm excited about. We talked about it a little bit in the preview, but Oklahoma OC Ben Arbuckle going up against Auburn DC DJ Durkin. On the flip side, Hugh Freeze going up against Brent Venables. Auburn offense, Oklahoma defense. Going to be fascinating. It's the overreactions are going to be at an all-time high no matter what happens in this game. The vastly differing storylines. Like, I don't think there's a game that impacts more the way two fan bases feel about their football team than this one that'll take place. Like, there's no gray area here. Whoever wins it, going to feel like they're destined for the playoff, and whoever loses it is going to feel about as poor as you can feel, I think, on a Sunday and moving forward about where they currently sit. Obviously, the way the game plays out matters, but yeah, this one is it's the biggest game of the year for both sides, at least at this point. If you keep winning, they keep getting bigger, but they can't keep getting bigger if you don't win. That's
especially for Oklahoma right now, who has an opportunity to go 5-0 into Red River, which, again, Red River is its own entity. There have been bad teams that find a way to come together for 4 quarters against a rival and pull out a victory. But it does mean something to be sitting undefeated, knowing that you have the opportunity to truly strike when Texas is down out of the count. So, big-time game for both. Certainly a moment where Auburn fans, if they win this, I'll tell you what, a little bit of confidence goes a long way. It happened back in 2013, happened back in 2010. Not saying it will happen this year, but a little confidence with a signature moment got to have from your quarterback playing, it can carry you very deep into a college football playoff race.
Bear, let's move to Como, the game that we are going to be at. The SEC Unfiltered Tour embarks upon Columbia, Missouri for the very first time. Cannot wait to get there and hang out with all the great folks at Mizzou. They host the South Carolina Gamecocks. It's the battle for the Mayor's Cup. And you and I talked again in the preview that's already dropped. MIZ looking to keep the good times rolling. Questions to be answered because it's your SEC opener, but we saw them against Kansas, and the constant has been for them. The offense has been crazy with Ahmad Hardy at the running back position, Bo Prabula at quarterback, some of those other weapons they have on the outside, a defense under Corey Batoon that looks as salty as ever. How on God's green earth does South Carolina respond from getting their brains beat in by Vanderbilt? And what is the status of the North Sellers? That is the question of this ball game. Double-digit point spread, Bear. Very interesting. If South Carolina could go into Como and pull the upset, my goodness, you get your season right back on the rails. Maybe college football playoff is still within the horizon, but I think Mizzou's got college football playoff plans of their own.
Both have college football playoff plans, and neither game entirely eliminates you. If somehow, some way, South Carolina runs the table and they go 10-2 afterwards, get wins over Clemson, wins over Alabama, wins over Oklahoma, Ole Miss, their resume is going to be strong enough to where they can right back halt themselves into the conversation. But for Mizzou, again, the way that they're playing right now, top 5 scoring offense in the country, top 6 rushing unit in the country, potentially the best backfield in college football right now with Jamal Roberts and Ahmad Hardy. Very underrated receiver room that constantly is finding ways to get open. Potentially the best tight end in Brett Norfleet that nobody talks about. And a defense that still has some faults, but overall has been able to regroup and respond in multiple different facets to where they delivered on every spectrum. Really, since that first quarter of the matchup against Kansas, it's a game to where it feels like you have got to be perfect if you're South Carolina. And I don't know if that's even enough because of when you look at the roster, who do you have that is going to be that X factor? Mizzou has multiple X factors right now. They can trust the running game with Ahmad Hardy. Jamal Roberts can show you he can be a home run hitter. Bo Prabula is looking like the better quarterback from State College, and he's not playing in State College anymore. Kevin Coleman's been a great find in the transfer portal. Brett Norfleet, we've already talked about. Defensively, Dalen Carnell is making plays. Josiah Trotter is making plays at the linebacker spot. Do you have that in South Carolina? Because you got 3 aliens, Dylan Stewart, Lenore Sellers, and Nick Harbor, but do you have a supporting cast around them? And if they aren't delivering, can somebody else step on up? Offensive line, Bristol Faison in the backfield, a tight end in Michael Smith, Brady Hunt at tight end potentially, Maziel Bennett at wide receiver. These young freshmen that you were so high on, Donovan Murph, Brian Rowe, can one of them serve as a supplanting place? We don't know what the game plan is for the Norris Sellers right now. We don't know what the game plan is for quarterback right now. Excuse me. Here's what I have to say. By the time that we get to Thursday's Pick'em show, I have better hear coming out of Columbia that Aaron Nolan is at least working in with the first team offense. Because if you trot out Luke Doty, I understand. I completely get that there is a loyalty factor. You have put a ceiling on what you can be as a program this year. And more importantly, what is the point total you're going to get in this game? You're going to have to win with great defense and a rushing attack. Because Luke Doty is not going to do much for you in the passing game. He just isn't. And yes, I know you can talk about the touchdown that should have counted for Nick Harbor against Vanderbilt. But regardless, there is a ceiling that comes with this passing unit. So your defense is going to have to play perfect and eliminate Ahmad Hardy and Jamal Roberts. And I just don't know if that's there. With Aaron Nolan, there's a little bit more of a ceiling, a little bit more room to actually grow. But you better have a game plan that says we are rotating in quarterbacks and we're getting everybody prepared just in case the Norris Sellers doesn't play. And if Sellers does play, brother, I hate to say this, you're going to have to go full Superman. Take off the rec specs, break open the S, and be ready to have to be Clark Kent every single drive. Because that is the way you're going to win this football game.
Yeah, how the quarterback positions handle Bear is going to be fascinating. I will also say, how does special teams play in? I know we talked about that, but we talk about series and games and rivalries that produce wacky results, right? Like I think back to last week, you and I were talking about how crazy the Ole Miss Arkansas series has been, and it lived up to it yet again. This is another one that there's been some duds here and there, but for the most part, Bear, if you look back at this series, I think they've met 14 times in total. Most of the games are pretty nonsensical, put it that way. So expect more of the same, I would assume. If the Norris Sellers doesn't play again, I think it goes without saying, changes this game drastically. But you mentioned it. Even if he does, it will probably take an exceptional effort for the Gamecocks to go on the road and claim the Mayor's Cup for a second consecutive year. Bear, let's go to the game down in Coral Gables, Miami and Florida. I want to ask you this first, Bear, because, again, we're both college football men. We love the SEC. We cover the SEC, but we talk college football as a whole, too. I've seen some commentary on the timeline this week. I want to get your take on this. Is Miami the best team in college football right now? Some are saying they are.
I think they're the most known team in college football right now. I'd go with that. You know how they're going to win football games. You know what is their strengths. You know what are their weaknesses. You've seen a maturity on the defensive side, and not just in the pass rush, but also in the secondary. They aren't having self-inflicting wounds. They've made the adjustments. Carson Beck is not as talented, I think, as Cam Ward, but he's good enough in this Shannon Dawson offense to get the job done. He has a good offensive line. He has solid weaponry around them. There's not a lot of finesse when it comes to what this team truly is. There's a lot of, I know what you can be. And you know what? It works. And if you have an identity and it's very hard to stop, and it's very clear as day how you are going to win football games, by all means, run with it. I think that's what you have right now in Miami, is you don't have to wonder what they are. You know what they are. And you still can't stop them. So I'd say they're a top 3 team. I won't go as far as number 1. But if you made a case for them as number 1, I wouldn't argue with it. The way they looked against South Florida, the way they looked against Notre Dame, it's very easy to understand why people are buying the stock into the Hurricanes this year.
And I think the question, Bear, we look at is for Florida, how does DJ Lagway respond? I mean, 5 interceptions against LSU. Give that LSU defense credit, but there's got to be a big bounce back. And, I mean, listen, it's another opportunity for Billy Napier, but as the losses mount, and the Gators are a 7.5-point underdog in this football game via our friends at FanDuel, as the losses mount, the pressure only increases game after game after game. All of a sudden, that Florida schedule feels more and more and more daunting because of the way they are playing. I am fascinated with this matchup. Florida's defense, that front seven specifically against Carson Beck, for all the offseason talk and chatter, that dude has been lights out. Carson Beck has been incredible. So love this rivalry. I'm curious what the atmosphere is like down there at Hard Rock Stadium, but yeah, it's one Billy needs badly. I don't know if he's going to get it, but it is one that he needs.
They're going to have to win through the air. They are. And I know that sounds like I'm disrespecting what has been Miami's defensive backfield, but it's not. They can't run the football. I mean, nobody can run the football on this team right now. South Florida averaged less than 2 yards a play. Notre Dame averaged 3.2 yards a play. Both teams were able to throw the football. Now, again, it wasn't at an elite level, but they were able to throw the football. Byron Brown had 274 yards. They nearly gave up 300 yards passing. So this is a game where it all comes down to DJ Lagway. It does, because I think that Jaden Baugh is going to be a talented running back and maybe the best running back in the SEC at full speed, but they can't run. Nobody can. So you have got to be able to learn from your mistakes in last week's performance against LSU, where you were blanketing down wide receivers, where you were staring down the barrel of a safety over the top and just saying, you know what, screw it. Just still do it. Just still throw it there. Because that is going to be the way that you win this football game, or at least make this thing interesting. And if that doesn't happen, then unfortunately, this may be over before it truly begins, because if it truly is impressive to see how Carson Beck is running the offense right now in Miami. Did have 2 interceptions against USF, one of which was basically just an arm punt, so don't even worry about that one. Still, he has looked confident. He has looked collected. He has a great offensive line that is going to be putting up there. This defense of Florida is giving you opportunities to win. And I think they're going to do it once again. They're going to give you an opportunity to win this football game. But your offense has got to be able to respond. And it has to respond through the air. Vernell Brown, Trey Wilson, J. Michael Sturdivant, this is your moment. You got to have it on Saturday, because if you don't, the game is going to be over before it truly begins.
Yeah, and again, I can't stress it enough. It's you lose to South Florida. The LSU loss hurts, but if you go out there, and especially if you get beat badly, Bear, by Miami for a second straight year, not being able to protect the state of Florida, that's where beyond he probably lost them before. That's where you really, and it gets hammered home, that's where you lose Gators fans. Like, if you can't protect your own state, right? If you're what are you going to be, the third or fourth or fifth best team in the state? You just can't stand for it. And I mean, listen, Mario Cristobal and Billy Napier, they're at the same points in their coaching careers at their respective schools. And look at where Miami is and look at where Florida is. I know not everything's equal because Miami's in a different conference, but still, if they go out there for a second straight year and beat the brakes off of you, we really will have reached dead man walking status of Billy Napier. And like you said, man, it might be over before it even gets going for Billy in this 2025 season. We'll see. Bear, let's go to the game at Oxford. You mentioned interesting non-conference game. Ole Miss and Tulane. Very, very interesting game. Probably being slept on a little bit. You talked about the Tulane Green Wave. John Summerall. Don't sleep on him, Bear. Don't you dare. Green Wave are coming in confidence. They just beat up on Duke, like you said. Ole Miss, their quarterback situation is really interesting. Does Austin Simmons return? Is it the Chambliss kid that builds off the big Arkansas win? This is one that I know that in this time slot, Oklahoma-Auburn's going to have all eyes on it, but make sure you keep out of the corner of your eye at minimum an eye on what's going down in Oxford, because this one could get pretty interesting.
So in the matchup against Duke, Jake Retzlaff threw for 245 yards. He rushed for 111 and 4 touchdowns. He single-handedly, with his legs, won this football game for the Green Wave. Ole Miss comes into this matchup 118th in run defense, giving him 198 yards per game. What happened the last time we saw Ole Miss play football? The quarterback led the team in rushing. Taylon Green was awesome. Like, he single-handedly made this a fun spectacle. If you can't slow down Jake Retzlaff, you can't slow down this rushing attack, and you're forcing Trinidad Chambliss to have to go out there and win with his arm. He won with his legs. He had a good day on the ground. 2 rushing touchdowns. Nobody's complaining. This could be a really interesting down-to-the-wire game. And I'll tell you what, I don't think that Lane Kiffin is leaving Oxford anytime soon. I don't. But I will tell you that if he ever did leave, the first phone call I am making is to the coach that's coming in from Ullin Stadium. I'm calling John Summerall and I'm making him an offer he can't refuse if I'm Keith Carter. I think there's a lot of SEC schools that would love to bring in John Summerall. They have a good defense. They have an identity on offense that is ground and pound, run it down your throat, and force us to have to throw the football. We will find success if we have to. They play with this no-nonsense mentality. And here's the funny thing, Chris. If they win out, they're going to have three wins against Power 4 teams in college football. 3 wins against Power 4 teams. Northwestern, Duke, Ole Miss. They will become the favorites, even though USF has looked like the more complete team. They will become the favorites to be the G5 representative. And well, they should. Because it's very hard to say when you have those type of wins on the resume. Oh, and also, keep in mind, one of those wins was on the road in an SEC stadium. It's very hard to go ahead and say that you don't deserve a spot in the college football playoff. But Ole Miss, offensively, you got a spark. You still got the weapons. You still got a quarterback. Austin Simmons or not, Trinidad Shameless impressed. Can you do it a second time? Basically, what do you got as the encore? What do you have as the encore in this matchup?
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going, Bear. What does Trinidad Chambliss do for an encore? I think that's the big question. Like you said, that Tulane team, heck, they're not just dangerous. They're good. They're good. They're led by a hell of a head coach, too, that certainly he's going to be a hot name, hot commodity, I think, in the coaching carousel this upcoming offseason. Bear, would you call this the most underrated game on the slate, Ole Miss Tulane?
Nope.
Is it the game I'm going to next?
It's the game you're going to next.
Tennessee. Arkansas at Memphis.
There we go.
There we go. The early game, 11 a.m. Central Time on ABC down there at the Liberty Bowl. How do Talon Green and company respond? That's the big question, because this is a losable football game, no doubt. Memphis, this is one of those tricky non-conference games. Memphis is a team should have their full attention. I mean, 3-0 overall early in the season, wins over Chattanooga, Georgia State, and Troy. By the way, a Troy team that had Clemson on the ropes a couple weeks ago. For Arkansas, Talon Green's just got to show up and be that dude again, man. Like, I think that's what scares you about them is if he has an off game, what does it mean for the Hogs? Good news is this. That feels highly unlikely at this point because that offense is humming right now.
The thing is that Memphis may have the best G5 defense in college football. They very well could. They currently rank 11th in rushing yards allowed at 69. They're in the top 10 in scoring defenses. They're allowing less than 20 points a game. They also rank 21st in total yards allowed at 244. This is a good Memphis defense, and it can eliminate some of your biggest strengths and force you to have to play uncomfortable throughout the afternoon. But Talon Green, how you respond will say so much about this Arkansas team. And the thing is, you want to, if you're an Arkansas fan, at least believe that things can't continue to spiral. Because remember last season, you have the game against Oklahoma State and you lose, and it just feels like you're not able to respond. You're not able to get things back on track in the right way. It just feels like this may be another year where everything goes south. You beat up on UAB. You barely squeak out a win against Auburn. Then you lose to A&M. It doesn't feel right. Things are going. You want to set a tone in this game. You want to feel like that you're right back in the saddle. And you want to feel like that you have a quarterback that, again, he can deliver in these matchups. He's one of only a handful of players right now that has 12+ touchdowns. He still is one of the top 10 passers in college football. He has 11 touchdowns through the air. The offensive line has done a good job of keeping him upright. And that mobility aspect of things makes him such a dangerous threat in the open field with his legs. And you're playing on the road. If you show up in this game against a really qualified G5 defense, you build that rapport with Omega Blake. You continue to see the growth of other guys like Jaylen Brown and CJ Brown. Raylan Sharp has a good game. Jaden Platt has a good game at the tight end spot. Maybe you start to gain that confidence that, hey, Notre Dame, they had their fair share of faults against Texas A&M. What if we do what Texas A&M did? Could we win that game? What if we do what Notre Dame did against Texas A&M? Could we win that game? Could we spoil it? Your response mechanism after a close call down in Oxford, I think is going to say so much about where the buy-in is underneath a guy like, man, my bad. I'm all over the place. Like Sam Pittman. It's hard
to spit Sam Pittman's name out at times. It's okay.
It's going to show the buy-in of where this program is. And I'll tell you what, I've already told Chris this. We are doing a reaction to this show because the Arkansas fans deserve to have a reaction for how well they played. Taylen Green, showing up. There's a moment for you. You are the primetime game at 11 a.m. in the SEC. Showing up. Show that you have changed and that things are different this year out in Fayetteville. Because to tell you what, losing to Ole Miss on the road, it's a tough pill to swallow, but you can survive that. Showing up when people are starting to wonder if this is the old version of Arkansas, that's a way to get people back on your side and talking.
Yeah, and losing to Memphis, I don't care how good of a G5 defense you got, it won't sit very well with the Hogs faithful. I think you passed that over to me. Either way, yeah, it will not sit well with those folks who are already, I think, after the Ole Miss game, starting to look at it like, here we go again. That's kind of the feeling there in Fayetteville. Bear, I'll ask you this simply. Best of the rest when it comes to the slate. Again, we've got Mississippi State, Northern Illinois. They're huge favorites in this game. Vanderbilt, Georgia State, huge favorites, but, of course, the revenge factor on the line. LSU, Southeastern Louisiana, which not even a spread on that game. It's the Fighting Blake Ruffinos. Shout out to our guy taking on LSU who played at Southeastern. And finally, Texas and Sam Houston, which I guess, Bear, I don't know if I'm speaking for you. That one is probably the most compelling just because it's like, what does Arch Manning do in this ball game? I mean, I don't know. Where do you go when you look at the rest of the slate, best of the rest for you?
I'll tell you the first place I go is Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And there's a reason behind this. So this morning, Brian Kelly told reporters that Garrett Nussmeier has been dealing with a torso injury. He's been playing through it since week 1's matchup in the win against Clemson. So maybe that does have a reason to why some of his throws have been errant, why he feels rushed. He's been trying to get out passes and maybe make some ill-advised attempts because he doesn't want to get hit. Is this a game where you rest your quarterback and you just say, you know what, we need you for Ole Miss. We need you at your best when we take on the Rebels down in Oxford. You have to be perfect for that game. Can you give him a day? Can you give him a Saturday off? Because if you're struggling against Southeastern Louisiana, whether or not with Michael Van Buren, you got bigger problems than just Garrett Nussmeier. Is this a game where you say, let's see what we got? We brought in a qualified backup because we knew that just in case of anything, we had to have a contingency plan. Is this one of them? Because the last thing I want to do is have my quarterback that's already dealing with an injury, already dealing with some issues, go out there, get hit against an FCS team, and now his status is in jeopardy in 2 weeks. That's the last thing I want to afford at this point. So maybe you give him that little bit of extra breathing room. Because at some point, Garrett Nussmeier is going to have to deliver. He is going to have to be your X factor. And he's won you games. I mean, whether or not we want to, like Brian Kelly, I completely disagree with how he handled the press conference and how he went after reporters and said you were spoiled. I completely disagree with that. But you did win a football game against a defense that is very good in Florida. And you won a football game by making fewer mistakes. And that is a testament to Garrett Nussmeier. It is. So do you reward him by letting him get healthy and get right before you go up against a team that last season was winning all the way up until the very last play of the game? They never trailed, and you found a way to win. That's next on the horizon. You just let him breathe and go ahead and figure things out. Get mentally right and physically right.
Yeah, if he's hurt, I think you got to sit him. I don't know why. I mean, like you said, you're going to beat Southeastern either way. Michael Van Buren, I think, is a more than capable backup option. You got to get Garrett Nussmeier healthy, 100% healthy, because you're right. You're going to need him at times. I mean, the defense has been great, but he's going to have to make plays for them to reach what I think is ultimately their ceiling and what their goals are, which is to win a national championship. Admittedly, Bear, best of the rest, I go to Austin. My goodness, can we see Arch Manning play worth a darn against inferior competition? Because gosh, dude, I mean, if he goes out there and plays poorly again, and then you're going into the bye week, and then you got Florida, and I know Florida's struggling, but man, I mean, the chatter is going to be loud for 2 weeks. It already is loud. To a deafening point. Also, too, of course, Vandy keeping it rolling. Hey, you're ranked. How does Vandy handle being ranked for the first time in forever? I don't even recall how long it's been. Probably since the early 2010s. The Vanderbilt Commodores are ranked yet again. Georgia State, revenge game. They're like 26.5 point favorites. I don't doubt the Doors will win. Again, we'll have a full breakdown of that game and all these other games later in the week. But exciting times in Nashville, Bear, no doubt. So we got a loaded slate, man. A lot of fun in this slate this weekend.
Yeah.
Also, too, one more thing. Forgot to mention, we haven't even talked about it. How does Tennessee respond after the heartbreak against Georgia? They got UAB. Should win big. But, coming off an emotional loss, do you respond the right way?
No, you don't respond the right way. What you do is you go full on emo mode, play the hardcore heavy metal music, and then just go 77-0 against them. Like you do what you did to East Tennessee State. You take out your aggression, you take out your anger, you take out your frustrations on Trent Dilfer. Like Dilfer dimes? No, we got Aguilar bombs coming your way. That's what we got to see in this matchup. Baba Yaga, I'll tell you what. I doubted him. I'm very sorry. I won't do that again. I know he was excited for week 3. I sure as hell know that he needs no excitement or no pep talk for week 4 because he thinks he deserved that win. And to be completely fair, you go back and remember that game against Georgia State. He deserved that win. Not Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt did not deserve that win for how bad their defense played in that fourth quarter. Diego Pavia deserved that win. And he will single-handedly get that win. He will drag this team to undefeated 5-0 if it takes him there.
Yeah, it was that defense let him down in that game in Atlanta at Turner Field. So first bank will be rocking. Lot 2 will be shaking. I know the boys will show up and show out. It'll be a fun one. All right, Bear, let's move into best bets. Let's lock in some best bets for the week 4 slate. Funny enough, I don't even have the records pulled up, but I believe I went 3-2 in week 3 to push my record to 8-7. So we're back to winning ways. We're over 500, which is where we want to be. I think you had a winning record, John. I'm pretty sure you went 3-2 also. 4-1. 4-1.
4-1.
Wow.
The only loss, one Mr. DJ Lagway at +8.5.
Yeah, we both lost that game. So what are you're sitting in what at 10-6? 10-5. Wow.
10-5 on the year.
Wow.
It's a good week.
I've got some work to make up then. Okay.
Let me just make sure on that real fast, if I may, just because if I don't want to say I'm
I think
wrong.
you did go 4-1. I think
over Mizzou 4-1. So 10-5.
There you go. There you go. Listen to the Bear. You're making pretty good money if you're taking his picks. Either way, big week upcoming, Bear. Let's lock in best bets for week 4. Before we do, I want to think about our friends over at FanDuel because, as always, we're brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is where we're locking in all of our picks, guys. FanDuel has got you ready for the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet $5. If it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style. FanDuel's got you covered. The NFL season is here. The only question is, are you ready to play? Visit FanDuel.com/SECU to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Once again, FanDuel.com/SECU to get in on the action today. Once again, that being said, week 4 best bets. Bear, I'll let you start with the picks. Your first one, lock it in. Your first best bet of week 4.
I truly believe even if Miami is able to score emphatically against Florida, and even if Florida's offense decides not to show up down in Coral Gables on Saturday, Florida's defense has been so under the radar good in making plays and keeping things in front of them, making high explosive offense kind of slow down a little bit. And again, we may end up hearing more about the positivities of, hey, LSU actually can score about 35 a game. USF is averaging at the G5 level. Yeah, that's 37 points a game. Their defense has been actually the solution this year. Like Ron Roberts has done a good job of taking over, putting people in the right position. Even when they have the minute major penalties, they aren't giving up the explosive plays. I just don't see 52 points being scored on either side combined. I'm taking the under out in Coral Gables. I think Florida's defense is going to show on up. You got to trust that DJ Lagway can get you some points on the board to make this thing interesting. I just think that we're talking about a 24-7 win or a 24-10 win. 52.5 is far too much. I'm taking the under.
Bear, I'm going to go out to Norman, Oklahoma. I'm locking in the Sooners -6.5 against Auburn. Oklahoma's my pick to win. Oklahoma's my pick to cover. There is no way Brent Venables and company are allowing Jackson Arnold to walk into their house and to beat them. And I think Oklahoma wins this game by double digits. Give me Oklahoma -6.5. They're at minimum going to win by a touchdown. John Mateer does some special things. Brent Venables and company are going to dial it up against Jackson Arnold. Fun game. OU pulls away late, and they cover.
I won't waste much time. I'm going to go to the exact same spot. I feel like that Jackson Arnold, and I described this earlier. I was in a really bad car wreck in 2014 in Meridian, Mississippi. Whenever I go past Meridian, it's very hard for me to drive. It still to this day gives me anxiety because of what happened. Jackson Arnold's career was nearly derailed because of what went wrong out in Norman. And it wasn't his entire fault. Bad offensive design with the offense coordinator in Seth Luttrell, really bad wide receiver room, an offensive line that was a turnstile. But there's something about returning to an area where you had bad juju, bad memories that is going to rattle you a little bit. I think Oklahoma's offense is more dynamic. I think Oklahoma has a much more polished quarterback, a much more mobile quarterback, a better offensive line than last season. I just don't think if you allow him to play from behind, he's going to be able to respond. I think Oklahoma wins this game by at least a touchdown. So I'm going to take it at 6.5 right now before the line gets even further higher up.
Bear, I'm going to go to Starkville. Northern Illinois pulled the upset, or one of the upsets of the season last year when they beat Notre Dame. Here they come yet again, but it ain't happening 2 years in a row. I'm riding the hot hand that is Mississippi State, minus 22.5. Yes, it is a big spread, but I'm telling you, Bear, Jeff Levy and the Dogs are humming, and they ain't going to miss a beat this week. I think they score in bunches, and they cover a big 22.5 point spread.
Georgia State is the 129th ranked defense in total yards allowed. They are the 133rd ranked defense in scoring points allowed. 40.7 per game on average, 459.3 yards per game on average. And you have Diego Pavia in his house wanting to take revenge on what happened a season ago. He is putting belt to ass single-handedly. He is making sure that everybody knows number 2 is number 1 in the Heisman Trophy race. It doesn't matter that's Georgia State. It doesn't matter if it's an unnamed opponent. It could be the Green Bay freaking Packers. He is going to show on up and show on out. I am taking the minus 25.5. I get it's a big line. I don't care. Pavia Power is going to be full on display in Nashville on Saturday.
Bear, I'm going to go to that exact game, and I do agree. Vandy's going to win. They're going to win big. I'm actually going to go to the total, though, and go under 53.5. And I know what you just said about Georgia State's defense. Here's the thing, though. I don't think Georgia State's really going to be able to move the football that much against that Vandy defense. That's really impressed me a lot. I mean, I could see Vandy winning this game 42-7, and you still cash the under. So I'm trusting Vandy's defense here. They're going to be dominant. The Doors, obviously, I think are going to run away with this, win and win big, but I like the under 53.5 in the game.
Let's go out to Knoxville, Tennessee. Another big line. I don't care. The way that we saw Joey Aguilar play, these wide receivers with the deep shots down the field, the identity of what they have in the rushing attack, and they're probably going to be healthier on the defensive line. Jackson Moy potentially going to be playing in this matchup. You could get back David Sanders for this game. UAB, regardless of how you feel about them, they're sitting at 2-1. This is just going to be, I think, a bloodbath in terms of what you are expecting from a good overall response mechanism, and a little bit of frustration is being taken out on what has been a Blazers team. I like to see Tennessee roll with this game. I got minus 39.5.
I actually like that pick. I thought about taking it, but did not. Instead, I'm going to go to Oxford, Mississippi. Ole Miss, Tulane, points, and more points. Give me the over 60.5. I like it. I think it's going to be a back-and-forth battle. I don't trust Ole Miss to really stop anybody, Bear, and I do think no matter whether it's Trinidad Chambliss, it's Austin Simmons, it's Lane Kiffin and company, they're going to score at will. Over 60.5 in this game. I think, like we said, maybe the most underrated game. Arkansas, Memphis, as I say as well. I think this one's going to be wildly entertaining, kind of similar to the last time these two teams met down there at Tulane, which was, again, a really fun, fascinating, high-scoring affair. Over 60.5 in that one.
Let's go out to the Liberty Bowl. I was going to take South Carolina and Mizzou, but I just don't want to do anything with that game, not knowing the Sass and Lenore sellers. I think that Arkansas responds. I think Taylor Green gives you a reason why we got to continue to talk about how well he has performed in year 2 in Bobby Petrino's system. I think you see a good rushing attack, and I get that this is a very solid Memphis defense, but I think that saying you win by 10 is not that big of a reach. I think saying that you can easily be able to march on into a different location and pull yourself together after the way that you performed last week against Ole Miss, the way that you performed against both Alabama A&M and Arkansas State, you want to set the tone. You want to make a statement. I think Taylor Green alone is going to give you at least a touchdown win. I'm going to take the minus 7.5 and say that Arkansas at least wins by double digits.
Bear, take everything I just said about Ole Miss Tulane, copy and paste it to Arkansas Memphis. I think it's another high-scoring affair, fun back and forth. I don't trust Arkansas's defense a ton, and I think Taylor Green's just on a different planet right now, putting up video game numbers over 62.5 for me. Maybe I'm pulling for the over, too. I'm pulling for a high-flying, entertaining football game, but I'm going to go with the over 62.5. I think both offenses have a field day. Both defenses are looking for answers. I do probably agree with you. We haven't gotten there yet, but I think I agree with you that Arkansas probably pulls this one out, although it does scare me a little bit. But don't even worry about that. I'm taking the over the total, fun back and forth with the points that you and I are both going with the same game to close it out. So,
you know what's funny? My other bet was going to be taking the under. So this may have actually been a game to where one of us ends up winning the week because I was so close on taking the under in this matchup.
hey,
I think that Memphis' defense is going to be good enough to keep it under 52.
well, it's 62, but yeah, to your
62.
point.
I think it's good enough to keep this game at least somewhere 34-24, something in that line.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. It is a high number. We'll see.
Yep.
Guys, again, those are our best bets brought to you by FanDuel, FanDuel.com/SECU. Go lock in your bets today and make sure you do so because, again, you can get that deposit bonus if and when you win your first $5 bet. FanDuel.com/SECU. Bear, been a great show. Before we get out of here, anything else you want to touch on? Anything stand out to you, jump through on a Monday night, or are we good to go?
The only thing is just remember the AP poll will always lie to you and tell you that they know more than you when clearly they don't, because of still to this day we have people ranking South Carolina over Vanderbilt, despite the fact that there was actually not only a common opponent, but also a win by a team. Single-handedly belt to ass type of win. And I understand that South Carolina fans, you know I love you. You know for a fact that I will always defend the War Chickens when it's possible. This was just a good gameplay by Clark Lee. They showed up and they showed out. Didn't matter that Lenore Sowers got hurt. You may have ended up making this a closer call. It may have come down to the wire, but Vanderbilt was the more prepared team on Saturday. So regardless of how you feel about that, the fact that we are having these conversations is ridiculous. And by the way, Vanderbilt Nation, Commodore Country, as I call you, go check out my Super 16 poll because somebody is telling you right now, hey, we're underrating Vanderbilt. They're my top 16. And honestly, I'm a little ashamed of myself for putting them behind Texas. Right now in a neutral field, I feel pretty confident about what Baba Yaga would do to this Texas defense and what Arch Manning wouldn't be able to accomplish.
Ooh, buddy. The takes are rolling. Week 4 is here. It is going to be absolutely electric yet again because, Bear, we know one thing. It always delivers. We love college football for that reason and many others as well. And we love you guys for tuning in. Again, we can't say thank you enough, guys. We appreciate each and every single one of you as we close the book here. We'll be back on Thursday to lock in all of our picks for the Week 4 slate and our weekly Pick'em show. Guys, again, appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in as we close it out here. Make sure, once again, you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast or get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. Once again, this is the Overtime Drive, SEC Unfiltered's SEC football show, the best SEC football show on the internet. For Cole the Bear Thompson, I am Chris Phillips. We're saying so long. Y'all have a great rest of your week, and we will talk to you all on Thursday. Cheers.